What's going on, guys? Have you ever struggled to get the cape from the guy behind me? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you my method for a relatively low effort, low skill Zuk run. So this video is going to be going over basically the entire Zuk run. I might speed up a few portions of it, but it's also going to be going over Zuk at the end. So if you are struggling to get your Zuk cape and you really want to do some of that content that requires it, stay tuned for this video because it should hopefully allow you to get a really easy Zuk cape. So starting off with the preset, guys, I'm just going to kind of gloss over this. As you can see, there's a lot of different stuff that you could use here, and I mean, none of it is really super required, really, but there's a couple things that I want to note. So first up is going to be the Blood Reaver familiar. If you do use this familiar, I find it's the best familiar for the waves because it's able to attack over walls, whereas like I found like other familiars kind of get stuck. But you don't really have to use any auto fire rate or anything like that. You can just have the Reaver sitting around without scrolls in it. If you do want to bring scrolls, you can manually cast them, or you can have it set to 0, and then right before Zuk appears, you have a bunch of time to like set the auto fire rate to like 7 or 8 or something like that, which might be able to help you with Zuk, but you don't really need to do that. For the gear, you can see there's two different presets here. Both of these are pretty high-ish level presets, tier 90 Death Warden and then the tier 90 weapons. There's no perks or anything that are required, but I would suggest having like at least some rudimentary perks, like Precise 5 or something. But yeah, you don't really need any special perks for this. The only thing to note would be like Turtling could be really good, and Enhanced Devoted is also pretty decent. You also could get away with tier 80 gear and weapons, but since it's so cheap and easy to get the tier 90s, you might as well like upgrade to those if you're not super comfortable with Zuk. It costs, less than 10 mil to make the gear and weapons, and it only takes like a couple hours really to make it, so you might as well go out and make the tier 90 weapons and gear. But as you can see, this has the Tuckle Zo ring. This ring is really good. It gives you 10% damage during the waves, which is really helpful to have. And then the other thing that I want to note is going to be the Max Cape. The Max Cape is mainly just used for a defense cape, so if you don't have a Max Cape, just wear the Defense Cape to get the free Sign of Life effect. I guess you could always have the Portent of Life in your inventory as well, but yeah, I mean, like you can see here, you can pretty much mix and match this gear. I would probably recommend using Death Warden over the Crypt Bloom because most people probably won't have Crypt Bloom for this. And then the inventory, really nothing to note in the inventory, except for the Enhanced Replenishment Potion is pretty decent. I like to bring one of those just because it's really nice to have the Adrenaline Pot. Even if you don't use it for DPSing, it's really nice to have it to rebuild to 100% for the Barricade on the 3rd challenge. So I would highly suggest bringing something like that. But as you can see, inventory is just kind of whatever, a bunch of food, prayer, and stuff like that. And then as far as auras are concerned, you could just use any aura you want, really. So yeah. Alright guys, so two things that I want to cover before I get any deeper into the video is going to be the Obsidian Helmet and basically just the Turtling 4, or I guess you could use 3 perk. Basically, the Turtling 3 perk, you can put this on your armor. There's no required perks for this method, but if you do put this on your armor, it makes it so you only have to barricade one time. You don't need a shield or anything like that, but you just have to barricade one time. You don't have to do anything else for the 3rd challenge. It makes it a little bit easier to get that challenge done without failing. And then the other thing is going to be the Obsidian Mage Helmet. If you wear this item and then you come over here to the Fight Cauldron and donate to the coffer thingy, you can get a free 9% damage reduction, as you can see. And that could be really, really helpful if you, don't have the best gear or something like that and just like taking less damage overall. But none of these things are really all that required. They just help a little bit. So I'm going to put a Zuk kill at the start of this video here, just because I think most people probably want to see this the most. So you can see I'm just killing Haraken here, and then I am going to go into a Zuk kill. So yeah. Alright, so I'm going to do this Zuk again and go through his mechanics. So the first mechanic he does, you can see he's doing this magic damage, and all we do is freedom that, and it'll get rid of that bleed. Now, The next mechanic is this, where you can see the little text box, and basically what you do for that is you surge once, and then you can dive or surge back again, and as long as you move enough tiles, it will completely stop that mechanic from draining your HP. And then this, when he slams, he's going to put a bunch of quakes, and as long as you surge one time without moving around, he should, like, those little quakes should never really hit you. You can see this attack here. You can literally do nothing. It hits a 4K. Like, it's not even worth worrying about it to try to get that res. You can just tank it like it's nothing. So yeah, all you really have to do is freedom and then do a few surges and stuff, and then, you know, maybe drink like a potion dose to regen your HP back. But as you can see here, very easy to do that. And then we just freedom the stun here, and then we bladed dive and run over here. And then we just stun this guy, and this is a good time to soul split back up. And usually you should be able to revo these guys out pretty easily. If you tier 90 spec this guy, it works way better, but yeah. And then we just click on Zuk and Surge, and you should be able to run back into the next one in time. And make sure you're using like a bloat on this guy. And then same thing here. Maybe we have to Finger of Death here because we're reconjuring. But as you can see, pretty easy to deal with this guy. And then we do the same thing here. We could Bladed Dive back to this guy and then just stand inside of the thing. You just have to be quick. If you think you're gonna fail, you could just pray magic and tank a little bit of this stuff while you're running over. But as you can see, you have a lot of time to do it. It's really not too bad. And then we just Living Death, same thing here. And we just continue to DPS. So as soon as he gets to 100k, he will reset and he will do the bleed again. So you can see here, we just surge twice and we'll be fine. And if anything bad does happen, just, you know, eat. Like, it's not really that big of a deal if you have to eat. I mean, the mechanics are pretty straightforward. You can kind of just face tank most of it, and like, you really just need to freedom and surge a few times. And that's about it. So yeah, the mechanics are very easy for Zuk once you understand how to deal with them. Alright guys, so you can see I am here at Zuk, and before I get into the wave portion of this, I do want to explain a little bit of the luring we're gonna do. You don't really have to lure very much here, but all of my luring for the most part is done on this rock with like these two tiles that you can see I'm like standing on here. And this is pretty much every single lure that you're going to need for the fight besides the Jad lure, which you go over here to this rock. Yeah, this lure that I'm standing at here will lure pretty much all of the monsters on this side of the arena, like towards you, and they all get stuck behind the geyser. And same thing with this side of the rock here. Everything that spawns over here will pretty much get stuck behind this rock here. And again, you won't get attacked by any of it because you're behind the geyser. So that's really all the luring you're gonna need to do. And the main reason you want to lure is to reduce the damage taken so you don't have like everything piling you at once. But the other, like the main reason you want to be luring is because it'll make every single monster kind of get like piled up in one spot so you can very easily Threads of Fate them. Just to increase your damage, speed up the kills and all that stuff. But it also does reduce the damage you take quite a bit. And the second thing I'm going to be going over is for the second and third Jads, where it's the two Jads that spawn over here, and then the two Jads, and then the third Jad that spawns over here for the third time. Basically, what you're going to want to do is stand over here in this spot. And for the double Jad, they both get lured behind these geysers. And for the triple Jad, they both get lured, and then the third one is the only one that can attack you. It just makes it way easier to deal with the Jads. There are other lures you can do, but this one I find to work the best because it keeps all the Jads in their original positions pretty much without having to deal with them. But you just have to like quickly, after you do that like little challenge thing, you just like quickly like walk over here and then like Bladed Dive like that, and then you just get stuck behind this little rock. The only thing to note is there will be a wizard on the second Jad spawn that spawns way over here that might screw it up, so like be quick to like start the Jad. But yeah, it shouldn't really be that big of a deal once you get the hang of it. And then I want to go over some of the defensives and stuff that we're going to be using. So you can see I have this additional action bar set up. I guess you could consolidate all of this stuff into one bar, but basically the things that you're going to want here are going to be Pray Magic, Pray Ranged, probably Soul Split to turn that on, and then like Darkness, and then you want Barricade, and then maybe some of these defensives here, some of the damage reducing ones. You don't actually need any of these, but they are really nice to have. And then the last thing you're gonna need is freedom. So basically just barricade, freedom, and then prayers is like the main thing. You could also see I have Threads of Fate here. Threads of Fate is really, really good, but I guess it's not required or anything. It just speeds up your waves. But yeah, that's all that I want to talk about before we start into the wave portion. All right, guys. So I am going to activate my aura now. You could use Vampirism, like I said. You could use really any of the auras. So I'm going to turn on Penance for this and try it out. Vampirism is also really good. But if you're using Vampirism, you can use Powder of Penance to, get both effects. Yeah, I'll just try out Penance here. And then make sure you're turning on all of your Overload, your Poison, your Darkness, your Prayers, your God Book, and then just challenge Zuk. So I'm going to speed up this portion. These first couple of waves are extremely easy, and there's really nothing to explain besides just auto-retaliating to the targets and then maybe occasionally using Threads of Fate if there's a big pile. You don't really have to do too much luring or anything like that. But if you look closely at my bar, you can see I actually took Death Skulls out and placed it in the non-revolution portion. And I find this is really, really helpful for the waves just because I didn't really find Death Skulls to be all that helpful. Like, it was good, sure, but it kind of screwed up the kills if you weren't paying attention because you want the Death Skulls for Zuk in his chair. So that's one little tip you can do, and then right before you fight Zuk, you can just drag it right back in onto that second place in your bar. But yeah, you don't have to do that, I guess. But after you see these big guys spawn, the next wave is going to be the Igneous wave. So you could pray melee for this. You don't really have to. The melees are pretty weak. But this one here is going to be the one right next to Zuk is the Igneous. This guy over here is the Igneous, and then this third guy is the Igneous. And that's all you have to kill. And all we have to do to kill these is stun them with Soul Stab. Soul Strike? Yeah. So just strike them to break this guy's shield. And then just Revo or do whatever. And then same thing with this guy. Strike him to break the shield. And then you could like Volley of Souls to kill them. And then this third guy over here. You can also use this special attack here. It is a stun, as you can see. It did break it, and it just like insta-kills him. And now what I like to do is target one of these guys and use like some defensives or something to get to 100%. And then just click on Zuk and use the little button, and then we Death Skulls here. Then we just Revo on him. The Death Skulls and whatever basics you use should be able to deal with this pretty easily, as you can see. Like, it's not a big deal. And then we just go over here and we get ready to Threads of Fate. So we get pulled here, and then we Threads of Fate, click on a guy, and then we click on Volley of Souls. And as you can see, that'll kill like all of them almost. So you only really have to manually kill one and probably the other one. We got lucky and we got a book proc, but as you can see, it's like super easy with Threads of Fate. All you do is Volley of Souls and they all die. Like, it's pretty easy. So now we're gonna get our first Jad. As you can see, if we stand over here by our lure spot, the Jad gets lured behind the stuff over here, and you can deal with all these Rangers before you deal with the Jad. So I'm just going to speed up this portion for the Jad. Doing it with single Jads pretty easy as long as you can prayer flick effectively, or not really flick, just put on the correct prayer. It's not really too difficult, and there's not really a whole lot to explain. You can see here I'm attacking the bird. The Jad is still lured and can't hit me behind that geyser, so you can kill the bird or not. It doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, as you can see, you just deal with the Jad very quickly, and then you continue on the waves. Same thing with the lure spot here. You just kind of sit here. You could prioritize those birds so they're not like sapping all your prayer away, which is nice. But yeah, you could pray pray range for this phase because there's a lot of rangers. But as you can see, I'm just camping Soul Split, and it's really not that big of a deal. And then, just lure them all in with the lure spot to bring them close, and then you can Threads of Fate them just to make it faster and easier. But yeah, as you can see, basically at the start of every wave, I just go to the lure spot and then just start luring them. And it makes it incredibly easy, and you can mostly just Revo them down. Yeah, as you can see, I used both lure spots for this wave, and it made it incredibly easy. And here you can see we get another igneous wave. This is the Ranger igneous wave. All you have to do for this wave is use something like a bloat or any threshold ability on the igneous guys. And that's how you break their armor. You just bloat and then revo them down. And you can see how I've lured them all there, like I just showed a little bit. Kind of quick, but not too bad. And just like the other Zuk, we pretty much do the same thing with just Death Skulls here, you can see, and that will pretty much deal with the Zuk until we can start the challenge. Easy enough. Use like a defensive if you want. And now we have to deal with the big boy. So I like to Vuln this guy, so chuck a Vuln Bomb on him. And then I like to use a tier 90 spec. And it like insta-kills him, as you can see. You know, you might need to use a Finger Death. So now we're going to want to surge over here to the lure spot, like I said. And you want to be quick with this after you kill that big boy. You want to be quick here. So you can have a lot of time, but you do want to be quick because you can see the Jads do eventually spawn. The only thing you have to be careful with here is this rat over here can lure you like you just saw. So, you know, be careful with what's happening and paying attention. You can just immediately go into the Jad kill just so you don't have to deal with that. But yeah, you can see that guy can lure you. I think you could go behind this rock over here. Like if you stand, man, the auto retaliate's trolling me. But yeah, if you stand here, you can see the Jads all kind of get lured, but not really worth it because you just auto retaliate to all this stuff. It's easier just to stand here, kill the ones, and then just immediately go into the Jad as that guy spawns over here. But yeah, that's the only thing to really be careful about is accidentally getting trolled by the little wizard guy or whatever, the mage that spawns over there. Yeah, and then we just kill the rest of the stuff. And now we get ready to go into our next Jad. And yeah, like I said before, you could always just like reflect the Jads and like throw a skull on them or whatever. I mean, you know, it's not really that big of a deal as long as you can prayer flick the Jads effectively. They're very easy to take out if you lure them properly. But yeah, like I said, you just be sure you're not getting trolled by the mage, because the mage can like accidentally walk you over into the area that's unsafe and get you killed. Alright, so now we're just going to be going into our final set of normal waves, and these are easily the most difficult waves besides maybe the all ranger wave. That one can be kind of hard, but as you can see, we can just continue to use the lure here and it makes it like way easier. You can, for the most part, pray soul split and you know, just DPS through them using Threads of Fate, like I said. And, you know, maybe occasionally turning on prayer. You shouldn't really need prayer, and I find it's probably easier just to click reflect instead of actually using prayer. As you can see here, the geyser is active, so you can start to take a bit of damage with this geyser active, and this is probably the most optimal time to put on prayer. Like you could see, I put on prayer and used devotion because the geyser was active, and, you know, that's really about as bad as it'll get. One thing to note about these big mages, these big dog-looking things, is they can put a bleed on you, and you can always use freedom. The bleed will progressively do more and more damage. So, yeah. But as you can see here, I am moving over to the, behind these little wizard guys, the igneous wizards, and all you have to do is stand in their shield and break it. But as you can see here, I surge to this wizard and then stand behind him, and you can see how it lures all of the wizards behind the geyser. That's a really easy tip to just not get piled. And same thing with this guy, you can stand behind him and he's actually a blocked tile. You can see the wizards aren't actually attacking me, even though they're like getting stuck behind the guy. That's one easy little trick you can use. And then again, same thing, just use Death Skulls on Zuk and it should easily deal with the thing until you get the challenge. And then you can Adren Pot if everything goes bad, like that, and then just use Barricade. You can see here, Barricade will block most of the hits, and if you do have Resonance, should be fine. But as you can see, you can tank one of them. It does fail, so you maybe need the res. But as you can see here, we want to surge over here quickly, and then we can deal with this Jad very easily. Just be ready for it to attack you, because it'll attack you immediately. So right here you can see I'm just like purposely screwing up really badly, and all I do here is use a vitality potion and like reflect, and you should be able to tank quite a bit of hits if you like just troll yourself for some reason. Yeah, if this does happen, if like something bad happens, you can just like reflect, like you can see here, reflect and pot. and then you can just eat up. And like you can see, I like made myself screw up really bad there, and you could reflect and use the vitality and like tank a lot of damage. But yeah, usually if you stand here, you're only gonna have to deal with the one Jad, and then the other one gets lured, and then the other one gets lured. So yeah, I was just seeing if the spot was safe, and I guess it's not. So don't go there. That's bad. And now we're just gonna deal with the last Jad. If you do get low HP, you can use Resonance on the Jad and just res a hit. It's pretty free. But yeah, as you can see, the Jads are pretty easy to deal with. You just revo on them, and then as long as you know the animations, which you'll get comfortable with the Jad animations. I mean, it's much easier than old school because you have so much time. You know, Jads are very easy now. But now we are going to be fighting Hurricane, so make sure you're overloaded up. Make sure you're poisoned up and stuff. And then we're going to go over here and Vuln Bomb him, and then just use Death Skulls. So we're going to Death Skulls, and then just build. And when your screen shakes, you can see the blob thing flies up. Just move a little bit, and you should be fine. You don't want to get hit by that. It'll kind of screw up your adrenaline. But as you can see, you can use a tier 90 spec here, hit a free 30k, maybe blow it if you want. And then you can see her shaking again, and then you just move again. You can see the animation is very obvious. But yeah, you should be able to revo through this, and then like maybe Finger of Death here, and you should be able to get it in one cycle like that, even without using your Living Death, because you want to save Living Death. And then just go over here to Zuk, pray melee, get to 100% if you can. You can see I have an adrenaline pot again. Yeah, try to get to 100% here. Just pray melee on him, and then Vuln Bomb. And then we're gonna Living Death here. I'm gonna troll. And now we're going to Freedom, because he used his first attack immediately here. And we're just gonna build up. When he does his next special, we're going to Surge. And now we're gonna manually cast Death Skulls. Like I said, you can move Death Skulls if you want, or manually cast it, whatever you want to do. As you can see, he smashes, and then we Surge. And as long as you Surge like that without like running around, you can see it's these things shouldn't really ever hit you. And now just get ready to Resonance. So he does this, and you have so much time here. You can see you just spam click Resonance and you're good. And then just Surge one more time to stop your life points from draining, and then you can drink a Super Restore all the way back up to get full HP. But as you can see, basically what we did there is we just Surged to get the eruptions to go away, and then we just Resonance the big hit, or you can probably just tank it. Now we're just gonna Bladed Dive to this. It's another Igneous here, so just use a tier 90 spec or sap him or strike him. I mean, you can Soul Split here. These guys don't really hit very hard. And you should be able to kill these with Revo very easily. And now just click on Zuk or walk towards him and then Surge. And as long as you Surge towards him, it's always going to be this direction. It's always, it's like an L shape or whatever. And then, yeah, make sure you're bloating on this guy. Make sure you're breaking the Igneous. And then we just get back to this guy. Same thing here, we shield. I don't have mobile on my gear. Mobile helps quite a bit for this, but if you do have mobile, you can Bladed Dive to all these. If you don't have mobile, you're gonna have to dive, Surge dive, like I did. But very easy. As you can see here, we're gonna throw another Vuln Bomb and then hit the button. And then we griefed ourselves by using the skulls, but it doesn't really matter. And then we're just gonna pray melee here. So get ready to Freedom his hit. When he gets to 100k, he will reset his rotation. So we're just gonna Freedom here, as you can see, and then build back up to 100. We're at 100 now, Living Death, Adren Pot. And now you can see he's about to reset. He's starting to drain my life points. So you can Surge here, and then you can Surge again. And that will completely block the life point draining mechanic. But you could just sit there and drink potions, you know what I mean? And like eat food. But as you can see, we're just revoing here, very easy. And then we eat if you need to. And as you can see, that was like an 1831. It wasn't super fast or anything like that, but it's pretty decent. And yeah, easy cape. And then just like that, guys, you can craft your Zuk cape. Wow. Wow, look at how red it is. So hopefully that helps some of you guys get your Zuk cape. I know the waves and Zuk himself can be kind of intimidating, but honestly, I feel like once you get the pizza phase thing, once you get that down, it's really not too bad. And yeah, the most important takeaway for dealing with the pizza phase is going to be use the ability that breaks the igneous, as your first ability or as soon as possible. As long as you're able to get that ability off as fast as possible and then kill the guys, it really shouldn't be too much of a problem. So yeah, just remember, stun the melee, threshold the ranger, and then stand in the shield for the mage. And you should be able to very easily deal with the pizza phase. So yeah, hopefully this video helps some of you guys get your Zuk cape. And if it does, definitely drop a like on the video. Helps promote the channel quite a bit. And I will see you in the next one.